He convinced her to let go of everything. Country, comfort, even old grudges. She handed over her trust and every last cent of their future for $100,000 because the dream was supposed to be worth it. Instead, she got the kind of betrayal that makes your hands shake and your stomach turn. Not just an ordinary mistake or small-time flirtation. This was the kind of double life that rips the ground out from under you, and nobody, not even the fans who followed every twist of their love story, saw it coming. Imagine waking up one morning, thinking your biggest worry is being homesick, then discovering your husband's whirlwind business trip was really about secret plans with another woman, a stranger in another country, who didn't just know your name but knew every detail about your life. This wasn't an impulsive moment either. This was months, maybe years, of whispered calls behind closed doors, unexplained expenses, and careful, practiced lies. And all the while, the world online is calling you and your partner goals, not realizing the nightmare right behind those Instagram-perfect smiles. Jovi and Yara's love story was built for TV. They were supposed to be the couple who made it, who turned jet lag and culture shock into something epic. He was the fun one, the party guy who would joke his way out of every awkward moment, and she was the smart, fiery one who never let anybody walk over her. But here's what nobody expected. Trust can be a currency, and once it's spent on the wrong person, you don't always get change back. When Yara wired over that enormous sum, she thought she was investing in a shared future, not funding her own heartbreak. So, what do you do when the person you loved, the one you built your life around, turns out to have been building an escape route the whole time? How does a marriage, hailed as unbreakable, end up in a mess of lawsuits, viral scandal, and total public humiliation? And why is everyone still talking about the moment the truth hit like a sledgehammer? There's more to this roller coaster than any of the blogs are telling you. Once the cameras stopped rolling, the drama exploded in every direction. On TV, Jovi and Yara had the world in the palm of their hands. They were the couple people looked to when they wanted to believe in something real, something unfiltered, something that didn't fall apart in the first season. Their first encounters played out across cities and time zones. Long-distance calls that somehow made you feel like you were eavesdropping on the birth of a legend. America got the wild Louisiana guy with too much energy and too many travel miles, and Ukraine gave Yara, the woman who could match him joke for joke, but also challenge him in ways that kept the sparks flying. They married on camera, laughed through setbacks, and let the audience see their ugliest arguments and softest private moments. Instagram and TikTok flooded with edits of their highs and lows, fans standing their resilience, and nobody worried as long as everything looked shiny on the surface. The thing is, fairy tales built for an audience have a way of blinding everyone, even the people living inside them. Fans didn't just want romance, they wanted proof that anyone could find love through the chaos. That promise kept everyone glued to DMs, Reddit threads, late-night live streams. Millions checked their feeds to see baby updates, sassy outfit reels from Yara, goofy clips from Jovi, smiling holidays, the kind of normal that looks better through a filter. But when you looked past the edits, maybe there was a strain hiding in those quick glances between them, or the way Yara nervously laughed off Jovi's jokes about being gone for too long. People said their chemistry was unstoppable. There was that sharp, playful banter, the eye rolls, the way they pushed each other. But chemistry isn't armor. Underneath, Yara's ambition was carrying silent pressure. She hustled to adapt, not only to a new country, but to a marriage that was always juggling too many time zones and not enough trust. Jovi loved a good time, but work kept him away, and bills kept stacking up. That's when cracks start forming, the kind you only notice if you're looking at the raw, unfiltered version, not the highlight reel. They celebrated big, and when they fought, it stung. Still, to outsiders, they seemed to survive every storm.
People envied that.
It looked like they had already beaten the odds. But the story that had everyone invested had a few scenes missing. The late nights that didn't make it to Instagram, the quiet moments when Yara tried to stretch every dollar into security while Jovi painted dreams of one big venture that could finally make all the risks worth it. Neither of them wanted to admit it, but they were living in a glass house, always one secret away from collapse. Every success came with a little more pressure to look perfect, to keep things moving forward, especially for their growing family and watchful fans. They made business moves, shared their travel plans, and laughed off the struggles. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, when did the happy couple start playing pretend for the crowd? What did they brush under the rug before the world started noticing that something was off? Trust was currency in that house. Raw, invisible, easy to spend. For Yara, ambition had always been survival. She landed in America with a little hope, endless plans, and a drive most people couldn't keep up with. But starting over is lonelier than social media lets on, and every small victory costs a little more. She wanted safety, a life that couldn't be picked apart by the next lost job or canceled flight. Jovi showed her big pictures, not just comfort, but legacy. He was magnetic when he pitched a dream, had a gift for making the future look simple, even when the numbers were terrifying. The right words, the right promise, even a touch of reckless optimism, and it all blurs into something you can believe in, until it's too late. That's how real love traps strong minds. You want it to work, so you ignore the knots in your stomach, brush off the messy bank statements, and talk yourself into shared risk, because what's marriage without trust? When Jovi started tossing around business ideas that sounded bold, even world-changing, Yara wanted to believe it was for both of them. He'd sit across the table talking about side hustles, new technologies, ventures that could turn every struggle around. She would hear him out, challenge the holes in the plan, but every dream was sold as the answer they needed. $400,000 became less about numbers and more about a bet on each other, a bet Yara couldn't imagine losing. In a cold, bright kitchen, with the baby laughing in another room, Jovi made his final pitch. He needed the cash to make this dream real, promised full transparency, showed her projections, papers, charts that almost made sense. For anyone looking on, it should have been a red flag. But trust doesn't run on spreadsheets. Yara wired the money, half knowing she was risking everything, but the fear of staying stuck was bigger than the fear of losing it all. That's the trick. Even smart people convince themselves they're in control, right up until control snaps out from under them. First came the little shifts. Jovi's updates thinned out. His presence faded. He was always on the road, always stressed, with just enough business talk to sound convincing. The home grew quieter, but Yara filled the gaps. She balanced family and business, scrolled through receipts, kept silent about questions that didn't quite add up. Every couple who's ever shared a secret bank account knows the tension, a weird expense you can't explain, the phone calls that always go into another room, the details that always feel slightly off. People talk about red flags like they're warning signs hanging from the ceiling, but in real life, every flag gets explained away. Jovi locked his phone. Business, he said. New contacts, new partners, strange hours, but that was networking. Smudged receipts, travel tickets that didn't match the story, gifts that were too personal to write off as company expenses. Yara saw the clues stacking up, but the cost of confrontation felt enormous. If she pushed too hard, would she end up exposed and alone, or branded as paranoid by the man she gave everything for? She waited. She watched. She tried to trust the process, even as their conversations turned to static. Every couple fights, but not all fights sound like endings. Their arguments grew sharper, more personal. Jovi brushed off suspicion, accused her of jealousy, told her to leave the business stress to him. In public, they kept the old jokes alive. In private, the silences stretched into whole nights. Yara started scrolling through his messages, piecing together dates and timelines, searching for any excuse to believe what he told her. That's what hope can do. It keeps you from naming the disaster until it's already blown up. As the months dragged out, tension tightened its grip on both of them. Yara's questions grew sharper, but Jovi spun every answer into a new excuse. The more distant he became, the more she tried to compensate, planning, working, refusing to let go. There's a kind of desperation in holding on when the world is watching, and for a while, social media made it easier to pretend. But some truths start to leak no matter how good you get at smiling for the camera. Their home turned brittle. Arguments bled into awkward silences, and late-night whispers over locked phones replaced laughter in the hallway. Even the baby's milestones started to feel overshadowed by unspoken dread. Cameras captured forced smiles, polished dinners, a little family trying one more time to play happy for the crowd. Holding on became routine. Yara couldn't shake the feeling the marriage was splitting at the seams, but letting go would mean losing not just Jovi, but the history, the family, the hope for a future she had betting everything on. How many people would risk starting over with the world watching when a little patience might still fix everything? Things felt fragile, but no one wanted to admit it out loud. Still, secrets have a way of fighting their way to daylight when you least expect it. One night, after another fight about mysterious calls and a missing receipt, Yara's patience snapped. She dug deeper, reopening texts and rechecking bank logs. That's when the story cracked wide open. What she found wasn't one mistake, but a full alternate reality Jovi hid for months. Deleted messages, strange numbers that didn't belong, affectionate emojis sent overseas, plans for a future that didn't include her or their daughter. Every inch of denial peeled away under the light of real evidence, the stuff you can't explain away at breakfast. People think betrayal is a single blow, something you spot and confront all at once. But real heartbreak is a string of shocks, one after another, each small enough to doubt, until they build an avalanche. Yara choked back grief and shock with anger. She pieced together trips, money trails, and intimate notes to a woman north of the border who knew far more than she should have. Each message hurt more than the last. If this was business as usual, where did her future fit in? The walls closed in, and there was no denying it anymore. The trust was gone, the money was a memory, and every promise they made had turned into a punchline for the world to watch. Still, the real explosion hadn't happened yet. Yara's heartbreak would soon become everyone's business. And when private pain turns public, sometimes the worst isn't the betrayal, but the humiliation that comes when everyone finally learns the truth. When the phone buzzes in the middle of the night, and it's not your partner calling, you know your private disaster is about to hit every screen from Miami to Manitoba. News of Jovi's so-called business trip had already started leaking through group chats and private Reddit threads. Fans love a scandal, but this one had receipts all over it. Suddenly, everyone was an investigator, zooming in on Instagram timestamps, sharing screenshots, cross-referencing airport selfies, and piecing together the slow-motion car crash in real time. If you thought reality TV was messy on air, you haven't seen what happens when the court of public opinion gets involved. The memes came hard and fast. Hashtags about 400K Gone Girl and Canadian Side Quest trended for days. One viral post had Jovi lying like a vacation day on his timesheet. Nobody was shy about roasting the behavior. Even people who saw themselves as diehard fans were calling out the grand betrayal. But what hit hardest wasn't the jokes. It was the way outsiders picked apart both Jovi and Yara, sometimes forgetting there were real people under all those layers of followers and filters. Every confession, every public crying post, turned into content for millions to debate. Outside the constant cycle of hot takes and savage rewinds, a different mood crept in for anyone paying attention. Some fans dropped old jokes and looked for the pain in Yara's eyes, the stunned hug she posted with her daughter, the faint shaking in her voice when she finally decided to comment. You could feel the divide growing, one side there for gossip, the other stuck wondering how anyone could put themselves back together after that kind of breakdown. The easy punchlines faded in the face of courtroom drama and the slow dribble of real evidence, money trails, travel receipts, everything explained in the light of day. The court scenes weren't glamorous or slick. They were raw, every moment replayed on Twitter and TikTok. You saw the lines on Yara's face grow sharper with every accusation, and Jovi, once the king of inside jokes, looked like a man struggling to remember why he chose his second life over the one he'd built on camera. The internet couldn't get enough, but not everybody was rooting for anyone's downfall. Some fans wanted justice for Yara, others suspected she was always too sharp to get played. No one could look away. Even people who swore off the show years ago found themselves staying up late, checking for updates, fighting in comment wars with strangers over what really happened. The circus wasn't in the courthouse. It was playing out in DMs and comment sections, where everyone has something to say. And for every person laughing at the drama, there was someone else quietly scared by how quickly a perfect life can come undone. Behind every hot take is a quiet hum of empathy, the fear that anyone's facade could fall apart with the right secret exposed. There's a reason so many people fixate on scandals like this. It's not just about the lie, it's the shock of seeing two worlds collide. Public pain looks safer from behind a screen, but every viral moment is another reminder that social media fame guarantees nothing, except that every misstep gets broadcast, cheered, and replayed until nobody remembers which details are real. The fandom split and reformed, old Jovi and Yara forever, edits replaced by think pieces about loyalty and ambition, about how fame twists even the strongest couples into strangers. Was the punishment enough? Was public humiliation a kind of revenge? Did Yara win by exposing the scandal, or does the crowd always move on to the next messy headline, leaving real grief under the pile of memes and analysis? People kept watching not to see a car crash, but to study the aftermath and ask themselves, if it happened to them, would they ever trust again? Some wanted justice, some wanted closure. Everyone wanted a reason not to look away. It became clear that, for all the laughs and wild stories, nobody is immune to heartbreak when fame and ordinary life collide, and sometimes, the rawest drama isn't who wins in court, but who survives online long after the credits roll. The courtroom brought a new kind of spotlight. It wasn't the red carpet moments, just long hearings, evidence, questions about how much a promise is worth when money vanishes along with trust. Yara was no stranger to fighting through discomfort, but facing Jovi from opposite sides of a table, both with lawyers between them, was its own kind of heartbreak. Public records left nothing to the imagination. Bank transfers, message logs, hotel bills, lines of proof connecting every missing dollar to secrets she never wanted to believe. Every update played out live, feeding a crowd that only grew hungrier. The verdict made headlines. Jovi ordered to pay back the money and do time behind bars, the kind of justice that seems fair until you realize it can't buy back lost time, repair trust, or fix a broken home. People cheered the ruling, but for Yara, the real victory was quieter. Official divorce, distance, a small chance to take back the reins and start over with her daughter, but always with the memory that security can be ripped away in a single year. Yara's Instagram looked like self-help at first, posts about healing, crop tops, and daughter hugs, little bursts of resilience that said she was rebuilding. The word empowerment trended next to her name, but the truth is those late nights linger, even when public support floods in. Yara landed new jobs, pitched brands, threw herself into work, determined to prove betrayal doesn't have to be the last word. But every photo with her child, every announcement of a new role, carried the edge of someone who now reads fine print twice before signing anything. Jovi, on the other hand, lost the golden boy shine that fans once loved. Court posts showed a man avoiding cameras, looking older and sharper, replies filled with reminders that choices echo for years, even after the hashtag stop. Viewers sat at home, some feeling the win, others quietly haunted. Justice serves the facts, it never erases all the scars. Everyone watching learned what's at stake when fame, love, and cash are all in the mix. Sometimes surviving the public mess is the only happy ending on offer. Big questions hang in the air. Is Yara's new start finally a real one, or will the past come calling again? Maybe on another screen, another franchise, another plot twist fans never saw coming? Every wound found its spotlight, every secret got its answer. And yet so much stays unsettled even when the dust clears. The headlines have faded from urgent to old news, and people now swipe past the story, hunting for updates on other couples they once ignored. But for everyone who felt the sting in Yara's eyes or bristled at Jovi's stubborn shrugs, the memory of what happened lingers with fresh caution. The biggest surprise isn't the exposure, the money, or even the heartbreak. It's how the story keeps echoing even after both have walked away. The glass house didn't just shatter on Yara and Jovi, it left sharp edges for everyone watching, a reminder that being seen by millions can't save a bond if both hearts aren't fully in the truth. Yara steps out of the franchise that built her, holding her own, focused on her child, and working with a caution that wasn't there before. She looks motivated, but fans can spot in every new venture that there's never full trust given to anyone again. That makes sense. After your life is picked apart both by courts and strangers behind screens, nothing softens as quickly as the story reels want to show. The lessons sit heavy. Fame multiplies public empathy, but multiplies pain, too. The sensational exit becomes yesterday's meme while the real work, the moving on, the fixing, happens away from every trending page. Jovi, once quick to laugh and post, is now more shadow than soundbite, the guy who reminds viewers that the jump from charming to careless is shorter than anyone expects. People debate if the fallout changed him, made him learn, or if he's only waiting for the noise to die so he can start over with someone new. When big messes hit, some seek a fresh start in sunlight, others slink off and hope the crowd loses interest. Either way, every move becomes a possible headline, every follow back or unfollow a new storyline for fans desperate to spot the next clue. It's easy to gawk at a collapse this big or roast a decision until it becomes internet folklore. But every messy breakup on screen or off pulls viewers in for the same reason. Everybody wants to trust, to believe in reinvention, and to know that even the most viral screw-up won't be the end. What hooks people isn't only the wow moments, it's those quiet, awkward, remarkably human beats where someone picks up the pieces a little less naive, a little tougher, and still ready to risk it all again. That's the real secret in every 90-day headline. Nobody walks away untouched, not even the ones behind the screen. For the diehards and the passersby, drama like this asks the same question every time. Would you rather have a safe, ordinary life or a shot at something that could turn out picture perfect until the next bombshell hits? Some fans say they're done, but next week, when a new couple's secrets start bubbling, like Angela and Michael's wild saga or the next cast member to tank a marriage on live TV, curiosity comes roaring back, hungry for another dose of real mess. Because if there's anything we know about 90-Day Fiancé, it's that the only guarantee is that nobody's secrets stay buried for long. Don't blink, because the next heartbreak is already brewing, and this franchise doesn't believe in fairy tales that last.